Be quiet and don't make a sound." The sharp whisper sliced through the evening air like a blade. Robert Harrison, CEO of Harrison Tech Solutions, stood frozen beside his silver Mercedes, keys dangling from his fingers. The command had come from inside his own vehicle. Squinting through the tinted windows, Robert spotted a small black girl, maybe 8 years old, crouched in his back seat. Her eyes were wide with urgency, her finger pressed to her lips in a desperate plea for silence. "They're watching," she whispered, nodding toward the gleaming office tower behind him. "Your business partner and that red-haired lady. They said you'd arrive right about now." Robert Harrison was 54 years old and had never imagined his entire world would be turned upside down by a homeless child. But what this little girl was about to reveal would expose a betrayal so calculated, so vicious, that it would make him question everything he thought he knew about trust and loyalty. Robert had built Harrison Tech Solutions from nothing, a basement startup that he'd grown into a $180 million cybersecurity empire over 18 grueling years. His success story was legendary in Silicon Valley, but success had isolated him in a world of boardroom meetings and private jets. His business partner, David Patterson, had been his right-hand man for 12 years. His executive assistant, Linda Chen, had been organizing his life for 8 years with meticulous precision. This particular Thursday evening, Robert was returning from a Chicago conference where he'd just secured preliminary approval for a massive $350 million acquisition deal with a German tech conglomerate, the kind of deal that would cement Harrison Tech's position as an industry leader for decades. Meanwhile, 80-year-old Maya Washington was surviving in a reality that Robert's wealth couldn't comprehend. She lived in San Francisco's Tenderloin district with her aunt, Mrs. Ruby Washington, in a cramped studio apartment. Maya's parents had died in a house fire 3 years earlier, fire caused by faulty electrical work that a slumlord had refused to fix. Mrs. Ruby, at 78, worked as a night janitor at various downtown office buildings, including Harrison Tech Solutions. That Thursday evening, she'd brought Maya to work because their neighbor couldn't babysit, while Mrs. Ruby cleaned the executive offices. Maya explored the building with her curious mind, and what she overheard in Robert's conference room would change her lives forever. "How did you get into my car?" Robert asked quietly, sliding into the driver's seat. "The cleaning people left it unlocked," Maya whispered back. "I was hiding because I heard them upstairs talking about you. Really bad stuff." Her young voice carried an intelligence that seemed far older than her worn-out sneakers suggested. "They said, tomorrow you won't own your company anymore," she continued, eyes darting nervously toward the office tower. "The man with the fancy watch and the red-haired lady. They were laughing about how stupid you are." Robert's blood turned to ice. Tomorrow was the final signing ceremony with the German investors, a meeting that David and Linda had orchestrated down to every detail. "What else did you hear?" Robert asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "That you're going to sign papers without reading them good, and the day after tomorrow, you'll be looking for a new job." She paused, her voice dropping even lower. The red lady laughed real mean and said, "You trust them like a trained puppy." The casual cruelty hit Robert like a physical blow. 12 years of partnership with David, 8 years of complete faith in Linda. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Maya Washington." "Are you going to call the police on me now?" For the first time in months, Robert smiled with genuine warmth. "No, Maya. I think you might have just saved everything I've worked for." 20 minutes later, they sat in an all-night diner, while Maya devoured a cheeseburger, and Robert's mind raced. His phone buzzed with a text from David. "Ready for the big day tomorrow, partner. You're about to become very, very rich." Another message arrived from Linda. "Robert, I've triple-checked all the final contracts. Just trust me like you always have. I'll take care of everything." The cold calculation disguised as care made Robert's skin crawl. "They know things about you?" Maya asked, licking ketchup off her fingers. "They know everything. Bank codes, company secrets, where I keep important papers. But you got stuff on them too, right?" Maya asked with the directness only children possess. Robert froze. Maya was absolutely right. 12 years of partnership, 8 years of executive assistance. He knew their secrets to dot. His phone rang. David's voice carried predatory satisfaction. "All you need to do is show up and sign where Linda points. Just like always." After hanging up, Maya studied his face intently. "You're planning something. Your eyes look different now. The next morning, Robert called Sam Rodriguez, a private investigator he hadn't spoken to in over a year. "Sam, it's Robert Harrison. I thought you might want to know that your contract termination wasn't my decision." 3 hours later, Sam sat in Robert's kitchen, looking at Maya with respect and concern. So this little detective uncovered a $180 million corporate conspiracy. Sam opened her laptop, revealing devastating evidence. "Robert, while Maya was saving your company, I've been investigating my own suspicions. David and Linda aren't just traitors, they're criminals. For 3 years, they had stolen over $8 million from Harrison Tech, creating an intricate web of shell companies and offshore accounts. The German merger isn't about expansion," Sam explained. "It's about legitimizing money laundering. They need your signature to validate all the retroactive transfers." At 3 p.m. sharp, Robert entered the Harrison Tech conference room as if it were just another routine business meeting. David and Linda were positioned like generals preparing for battle. David embraced him like a beloved brother. "The Germans just arrived, and everything is absolutely flawless." Linda approached with her portfolio and familiar motherly smile. "Boss, you just need to sign where I've marked with the blue tabs. Trust me completely, like you always have." "Of course," Robert replied calmly. "But first, I wanted to share something fascinating I discovered last night." Sam Rodriguez entered carrying evidence, followed by 2 federal agents. Robert connected his laptop to the projector. "David, Linda, do you remember this conversation?" The screen illuminated with detailed financial records showing $8.4 million embezzled over 3 years. Photographs of David at offshore banking facilities, fraudulent contracts. Linda's smile wavered. "Robert, what is this? Some kind of elaborate joke?" Sam interrupted, handing sealed envelopes to the federal agents. "Here are recorded conversations between them planning the fraudulent merger." The door opened, and Maya entered with a social worker, walking confidently to the conference table. "Hi, Mr. David," she said sweetly. "Remember me? I was listening under your desk last night when you called Mr. Schmidt, bragging about how you were going to steal Mr. Robert's whole company." The silence was deafening. Sam pulled out her phone and pressed play. Linda's voice echoed through the room. "Robert is a sentimental fool. Day after tomorrow, he'll be job hunting while we own everything. That moron will never know what hit him." David's voice followed. 12 years pretending to be friends with that idiot." One of the federal agents stepped forward. "David Patterson and Linda Chen, you're under arrest for embezzlement, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit corporate fraud." As handcuffs clicked around David's wrists, he screamed, "This won't stick. I'll destroy you in court." Robert remained perfectly calm. "David, you already tried to destroy me. The difference is, I'm considerably better at it than you are." 8 months later, Robert stood in his expanded office, Harrison Tech having grown 50% since the arrests. Maya burst through the door, returning from the private academy Robert had enrolled her in. "Mr. Robert, I got an A+ on my science project." Sam smiled, observing their interaction. "It's still incredible how an 8 saved a $180 million company." "Actually," Robert said, "there's something you both need to know." He retrieved a folder of legal documents. "Maya, do you remember your great-aunt's maiden name? Ruby Harrison. Why?" Robert opened the folder, revealing birth certificates, records, old photographs. "Ruby Harrison was my cousin, whom our family lost contact with over 30 years ago." The silence was profound. Maya looked from the documents to Robert, processing the revelation. "That means we're actual family," Robert said softly. "When I began investigating after that night, all the pieces connected." Maya threw herself into his arms, tears streaming. "I knew it. I knew you were different. Grat and Ruby always said that family protects family." 4 months later, the official adoption ceremony took place in the same courthouse where David and Linda had been sentenced. Maya, now legally Maya Harrison, wore a navy blue dress and held Robert's hand tightly. 5 years later, Harrison Tech had become one of the top 50 technology companies in America. Robert established a scholarship foundation for at-risk children, funding education and housing for over 300 children annually. Maya, now 13, served as the program's youth president, personally selecting recipients and mentoring other young people. "You know what the best day of my life was?" Maya asked during the foundation's anniversary gala. "What was it?" "The day I hid in your car and decided to trust you." Because that day, I wasn't just saving your company, I was saving our family." Robert smiled, looking at the girl who had become his daughter and greatest source of pride. David and Linda had attempted to destroy everything he'd built, but they had unknowingly given him something far more valuable: a daughter, a purpose, and proof that sometimes the universe uses the most unexpected people to deliver exactly what we need. He had learned that true victory isn't crushing those who betray you. It's building something so meaningful that their betrayal becomes merely a footnote in your success story. Maya could have stayed silent. She could have minded her own business. She had every reason to distrust wealthy businessmen after what happened to her parents. But she chose compassion over cynicism, courage over comfort. And that choice didn't just save Robert's company, it created a family and changed hundreds of other lives through their foundation. The next time you witness something wrong happening to someone who can't defend themselves, ask yourself, what would Maya do? Because true power isn't about money or position. True power is having the moral courage to stand up and say something when everyone else stays silent. Maya Harrison proved that the smallest voices can deliver the biggest truths, and sometimes those truths don't just save companies, they save souls, build families, and remind us what really matters in this world. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true stories. Drop a comment with your thoughts and tell us, what truth are you brave enough to speak today?